The legal brief was beautiful. Tight logic. Clean structure. It read like it had been assembled by someone who'd done this 100 times. 6 court decisions were cited to support the argument, each one formatted perfectly, each one with a case number, and even a confident little quote that sounded like it came straight from a judge's ruling. And then somebody tried to look the cases up. The opposing counsel couldn't find 3 of them. The judge couldn't find them. Court staff couldn't find them. Not because they were hidden or obscure, but because they weren't real. They never happened. They weren't in any database. They weren't in any reporter. They didn't exist anywhere outside that brief. A lawyer had used an AI tool to speed up research. The tool produced citations that looked exactly like what a real legal citation should look like. Plausible names. Believable numbers. The kinds of details that trigger your brain to say, yes, that's legitimate. The lawyer trusted it and filed it. The fallout was brutal. Sanctions. Public embarrassment. A professional record that now includes a moment where fiction walked into a courtroom wearing the clothes of fact. But the most unsettling part is this. The AI didn't break. It didn't glitch. It didn't randomly malfunction like a computer freezing at the worst time. It did what it was built to do, it produced language that sounded right. It generated text that fit the pattern of legal reality. It just wasn't true. That's the hallucination problem. AI generating false information with complete confidence, in a way that can look indistinguishable from reality. And it's not a rare edge case. It's a core risk of how these systems work. Because here's the real danger. If AI were obviously wrong, we'd catch it. A system that makes clumsy mistakes is irritating, but it's not terrifying. A system that is convincingly wrong is different. It can slide into your documents, your decisions, your policies, your products, and it can do it quietly. A fake court case is embarrassing. A fake financial metric can move markets inside a company. A made-up medical fact can harm a patient. A fabricated safety specification can get someone hurt. Today we're going to confront this head-on. Why hallucinations happen, why they're so hard to spot, and how organizations can build defenses against AI that lies with perfect conviction. I'm Nakel Nakima, and this is the Intelligence Edge. Joining me today is a 4-guest panel with different angles on the same problem, the technical roots, the governance reality, the ethical implications, and the strategic decisions leaders have to make. Dr. Lian Zhou is an APAC AI transformation expert who helps organizations adopt AI without illusions. Dr. Zhou, welcome back.
Good to be here, Nakel. This is the risk people wave away until it bites them.
Maria Alvarez is a data governance leader who sees hallucination for what it really is, a new kind of data integrity crisis. Maria, welcome.
Thank you. When AI makes things up, it's not just a mistake. It's polluted input entering decision-making.
Jonas Richter is a data ethics and compliance specialist, focused on the uncomfortable question, when hallucinations cause harm, who owns the responsibility? Jonas, welcome.
Thanks, Nakel. Hallucinations force accountability conversations that many organizations are not ready for.
And Kwame Mensah is an intelligence systems architect who builds the systems and the guardrails. Kwame, great to have you.
Always a pleasure. This is one of those topics where design choices really decide outcomes.
Let's start at the root. People hear hallucination and they imagine an AI getting confused the way a person might. But that's not what's happening. Kwame, why do these systems hallucinate?
Because of what a large language model actually is. It's not a search engine. It's not a database. It doesn't look up facts the way you and I might. Fundamentally, it generates text by predicting what comes next, based on patterns it learned from massive training data. So the model is extremely good at producing a sentence that sounds like it belongs. It's a sophisticated pattern completer. The optimization target is plausibility, not truth. Most of the time, plausibility and truth overlap, which is why people get value from these tools. But sometimes they split. And when they split, the model can produce something that is perfectly formatted, perfectly confident, and completely invented. In that legal brief story, the model didn't decide to lie. It didn't even understand the concept of lying. It produced what looked like a legal citation because it knows the pattern of legal citations. It has no built-in reality detector.
So it's not retrieving, it's completing. And when it completes, it can complete into fiction.
Exactly.
Dr. Zhou, why does this catch users off guard? Because when you listen to AI, it sounds like knowledge.
It catches us because we're trained, socially, to read confidence as a signal. When an actual human expert speaks with clarity and conviction, it usually reflects years of experience or at least a strong belief grounded in something. But with AI, fluency is not evidence. The model can speak smoothly whether it's describing something accurate or making something up. So we bring a human heuristic into a non-human system, and that mismatch becomes dangerous. In practice, it means AI can sound like a senior specialist even when it's improvising. Users mistake the performance of knowledge for the possession of knowledge.
That's a chilling way to put it, performance versus possession. Maria, you described this as data pollution. Explain why hallucination is particularly nasty from a governance lens.
Traditional data quality work assumes something we lose here, that bad data has fingerprints. In many systems, errors are out of range, inconsistent with other fields, tied to a faulty source, or clearly missing lineage. Hallucinated content doesn't behave like that. It can be in range. It can be coherent. It can match your narrative perfectly. And there is no source system to trace. It's generated. So the standard controls that organizations rely on, the checks they've built for decades, often don't trip. The lie fits in.
And because it fits in, it can become data, in the operational sense.
Yes. It moves from a chat window into a slide deck, into a memo, into an analysis, into a decision.
Jonas, ethically, what makes hallucination different from other kinds of error? Because people might say, well, humans make mistakes too.
Two things stand out. First is the confidence problem. For ethical reliance, the user needs to understand uncertainty. If the system communicates confidence that it doesn't actually deserve, it breaks the user's ability to calibrate trust. It's not deception in the human sense, because there's no intent, but the effect can resemble deception. People are led to rely on statements that are not warranted. Second is propagation. A hallucination isn't always a one-time error. It can enter documents and then get copied, cited, reused. It can spread through an organization's knowledge ecosystem and out into the world. That's why it's not just a mistake. It's contamination that can multiply.
So the ethical risk is not just the first wrong statement. It's the downstream chain reaction.
Exactly. And organizations have to act as if that chain reaction is a predictable outcome, not a surprise.
Let's map the problem more carefully. Kwame, are all hallucinations the same, or do they come in different flavors?
They definitely come in types, and that matters because defenses differ. One type is pure fabrication. That's the dramatic one, invented cases, made-up studies, fictional statistics, quotes that nobody said. Another type is conflation. The model pulls real pieces but stitches them together incorrectly. Maybe it attributes a quote to the wrong person, or it blends two similar events into one false composite. Then there's outdatedness. The model gives you something that used to be true, and it says it like it's current. It has no awareness that the world moved on. Overgeneralization is another. It takes a pattern and pushes it too far, turning often true into always true, or applying a rule beyond where it belongs. And then we have contextual confusion, especially in long conversations. The model can lose track of constraints, mix up what was established earlier, or contradict itself as the context grows.
That list is helpful because it tells leaders not to just look for the cinematic version of hallucination.
Right. If you only hunt for the obvious fake case, you miss the subtle wrong attribution that's just as harmful.
Dr. Zhou, when should people expect hallucinations to spike? Are there predictable risk conditions?
Very predictable. The first is information sparsity. If the topic is obscure, highly specialized, or new, the model has less reliable patterning. It fills in gaps with invention. Second is when you demand specificity. Exact figures, precise dates, detailed citations. Those prompts pressure the model to produce crisp details whether or not it actually has them. It will often respond with specific-sounding content, and that's where the danger is. Third is leading prompts. If you phrase a question as if something exists, the model tends to cooperate with the assumption. If you ask, what studies prove this point, it may generate studies that would prove the point, regardless of whether they're real. Fourth is long context. Complexity creates room for the model to lose track. And fifth is what I call the domain edge, areas where the model knows just enough to sound credible, but not enough to be reliable. That partial knowledge creates confident mistakes.
So sometimes ignorance produces caution, but partial knowledge produces swagger.
That's exactly it. And swagger is what tricks users.
Maria, for an organization, how do you decide which AI use cases are acceptable and which are a red zone?
I frame it as likelihood and consequence. Likelihood depends on things like how obscure the domain is, how specific the output needs to be, how current it must be, and whether the interaction is long and complex. Consequence is about what happens if it's wrong. Does it influence a legal filing? Medical guidance? Customer-facing claims? Financial decisions? Does a mistake get caught easily, or is it hard to reverse after it travels? Then you map it. High likelihood plus high consequence is critical risk. That's where you demand strong defenses and mandatory verification.
The legal brief story is basically the poster child for high likelihood and high consequence.
Exactly. Specific citations in a high-stakes environment is almost asking for trouble if you don't verify.
Jonas, are there situations where using AI without verification is ethically unacceptable, full stop?
Yes. When the potential harm is high enough, unverified factual output is not ethically defensible. Medical content is the obvious example. If a claim could influence patient care, it must be checked against authoritative sources before it's used. Legal citations and legal claims also. Financial figures that could move large decisions. Safety-critical engineering specs. And factual claims about real people, where a hallucination can easily become defamation. The balanced view is that AI can still help. Can draft, summarize, propose, structure. But when it asserts facts in those domains, a human or a verified system has to confirm before reliance.
So it's not anti-AI. It's pro-calibration.
Exactly. Appropriate trust, not blind trust.
Now comes the hard part. Hallucinations are hard to spot precisely because they can look clean. Kwame, what actually works technically for detection and mitigation?
The most powerful shift is grounding. Instead of letting the model answer purely from what's encoded in its parameters, you connect it to retrieved sources and tell it to answer based on those sources. That's retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG. It changes the game because now you can inspect what the model was given. If it cites something, you can check whether that thing appears in the provided documents. Second is citation verification. Don't just ask for citations. Check them. Automatically. Does the case exist in a legal database? Does the reference exist and actually contain the claim? Third is consistency testing. Ask the same thing in multiple ways. fabrications often wiggle. You'll get different specifics across attempts, which is a signal that the model is inventing. Fourth is better confidence signaling. Not the confident tone of the text, but calibrated uncertainty measures that can flag when the model is likely guessing. Fifth is cross-model checking. If multiple models disagree sharply, treat the output as questionable. Agreement isn't proof, but disagreement is useful evidence of uncertainty. And then classic fact-checking integrations. Compare claims against trusted databases where possible.
So in practice, the robust approach is layered. Not one silver bullet.
Exactly. You stack methods because each one misses something.
Dr. Zhou, what should humans look for? Most listeners don't run automated citation verification pipelines at home.
The human skill is what I call hallucination literacy. You learn the smell of risk. One clue is specificity without grounding. If the AI gives exact numbers, precise dates, detailed citations, but it can't show where they came from, treat that as a warning sign. Specificity is not reliability. Sometimes it's the opposite. Another clue is the too perfect output. If the AI gives you exactly the evidence you were hoping for, in a way that seems almost conveniently persuasive, slow down. Reality is usually messier than that. Also, use your expertise. If you know the domain and the AI mentions specifics you've never heard of, don't assume you're behind. Check it. And the most important habit is the verification reflex. Before you rely on an output, ask yourself, how would I confirm this? If you can't confirm it, you can't treat it as fact.
That's a strong filter. If it can't be verified, it can't be used for decisions.
Exactly. It can still be used for brainstorming. But not for reliance.
Maria, how do you scale detection and verification in an organization where hundreds or thousands of people might be using AI?
You can't rely on individual vigilance. People are busy. They're under deadline. They're impressed by fluent output. So you build governance that makes verification systematic. First, define which outputs require mandatory verification. Not all outputs. The high-risk ones. Second, tailor verification standards to content. Citations need existence checks. Statistics need comparisons to authoritative sources. Quotes need attribution verification. You can't apply one generic rule to everything. Third, automate whatever you can. Build checks into workflows, citation validators, database cross-references, consistency tests. Automation is what makes governance scale. Fourth, require sourcing. If a system can't provide a verifiable source for a factual claim, that claim must be labeled as unverified. It may be useful as a draft, but it should not silently become data. And finally, audit and improve. You periodically review outputs, find where hallucinations escaped, and strengthen the controls. Governance is a loop, not a one-time policy document.
Jonas, what's the hard truth about detection? Because there's a comforting impulse to believe we can just catch everything with enough checks.
The hard truth is that detection is imperfect. There is no method that guarantees you will catch every hallucination. Grounding reduces the rate but doesn't eliminate it. Automated verification works only for claims you can actually check. Humans miss things consistently, especially under pressure. So ethical and operational maturity means designing for failure, not pretending it won't happen. That leads to defense in depth, multiple layers, and it also leads to consequence limitation. You design workflows so a hallucination that slips through doesn't immediately become a high-impact decision. You put checkpoints before the point of no return.
So instead of gambling on perfect detection, you reduce likelihood, increase catch rate, and limit damage.
Exactly. That's the realistic stance.
Let's talk architecture. Kwame, if you were building a hallucination-resistant system, what would it look like end-to-end?
It would be layered, by design. Layer 1 is grounding as a default. The system retrieves relevant documents and the model answers from those. You're shifting from remember and generate to read and synthesize. Layer 2 is citation enforcement. The model doesn't get to make factual claims without pointing to supporting source material. If it can't cite, it should either say it doesn't know or label the statement as unverified. Layer 3 is automated verification before it reaches the user when possible. Validate citations exist, check that the cited material contains the claim, cross-check key fields. Layer 4 is uncertainty signaling where you can. Users should be able to see what is strongly supported by sources and what is speculative. Layer 5 is human checkpoints for high-stakes use. Some domains require a person to verify before anything becomes official. And Layer 6 is audit logging. What was generated, what sources were used, what was flagged, what was approved. Without logs, you can't learn and you can't be accountable.
Dr. Zhou, defenses add friction. Leaders want speed. Users want convenience. How do you balance safety with usability?
By matching controls to risk. If you treat every use like a courtroom filing, the system becomes unusable and people route around it. If you treat every use like casual brainstorming, you'll eventually have a crisis. For low-risk internal ideation, lighter controls are fine because humans will refine the output anyway. For moderate-risk work, like content that informs decisions or reaches customers, you want grounding and sourcing, plus reasonable verification. For high-risk domains, you accept the friction. Grounding, enforced citations, automated checks, and mandatory human review. It's slower, but the alternative is catastrophic speed.
Catastrophic speed. That's exactly the temptation, isn't it?
Yes. Leaders need to treat accuracy as a feature, not as an obstacle.
Maria, governance has to translate all this into rules people actually follow. What should governance mandate around hallucinations?
First, a tiered framework where risk level determines required defenses. If you define a high-risk tier, it should automatically require grounding, enforced sourcing, verification, and human checkpoints. Second, explicit verification standards. What must be verified, what method is acceptable, who is responsible, and what counts as verified enough for that use case. Third, architecture review for consequential deployments. You don't approve a system for a high-stakes environment if it can't show its sources and if it can't be audited. And fourth, incident response. When hallucinations cause problems, the organization has to learn. Not just patch the moment, but analyze how it happened and strengthen the pipeline.
Jonas, accountability is the part everyone tries to dodge. What's the right framework when an AI hallucination causes harm?
The principle is simple, even if the details get messy. The humans and organizations who deploy and rely on the system are accountable for outcomes. The AI cannot be responsible. It has no moral agency. So accountability sits with the people who chose to use it, chose the safeguards, chose the workflow, and chose whether to verify. There's deployment accountability. If you put AI into a high-stakes process without appropriate defenses, that's negligent. There's reliance accountability. If you treat unverified AI output as fact, that's on the person or team doing it. And there's design accountability. Builders of AI systems share responsibility for adding safeguards like grounding, citations, and auditability, especially when they know plausible fabrication is a known failure mode.
So, the AI made it up is never a valid excuse.
Not in an ethical organization, no.
Let's shift into culture, because even the best technical controls can be undermined by the way people behave. Dr. Zhou, what does a verification culture look like in real life?
It looks like a team that treats AI output as a first draft, not a final answer. It includes healthy skepticism where people feel comfortable asking, "How do we know?" And it includes a professional norm that verification is part of good work, not a sign that you distrust the tool. It also requires psychological safety. People need to be able to say, "I can't verify this," or "I think this is wrong," without being seen as slowing everyone down. And when incidents happen, the response should be learning-oriented. What failed in the process? What do we change? Not a witch hunt.
Maria, how do you turn culture into something operational instead of a poster on a wall?
You build it into practice. You rate verification protocols by content type. You assign verification responsibility for high-stakes outputs so it's clear who owns the check. You provide tools that make verification easy, like direct links to sources and automated citation checkers. You train people to recognize hallucination patterns and to verify efficiently. And you measure. If you don't measure whether high-risk outputs are being verified, you're just hoping.
Jonas, what's leadership's role? Because culture follows incentives.
Leaders shape culture through what they model, what they measure, and what they reward. If leaders ask for sources, if they question AI claims in meetings, they normalize verification. If leaders only celebrate speed and volume, people will skip checks to keep up. So leadership has to resource verification to tools, training, and time. And they must resist the temptation to trade accuracy for efficiency in high-stakes contexts.
That's the real trade. Accuracy versus speed, and deciding where you refuse to compromise. We're coming into our tactical edge segment now. Practical actions leaders can take this week, not next quarter. Dr. Zhou, what's your one action?
Pick your highest risk AI use case, the one where a hallucination would hurt you most. Then answer one question honestly: are we verifying factual outputs before we rely on them? If the answer is no, that's your immediate priority.
Maria, your action.
Inspect one important AI workflow and check whether it provides sources for factual claims. If your system produces confident statements with no traceable source, you have a verification gap. Fixing source visibility is foundational.
Jonas, your action.
Run an accountability drill. If the AI output in your organization caused harm tomorrow, who would be accountable and do they know it? If people think accountability sits with the tool, not with the humans using it, that's a governance failure waiting to happen.
Kwame, bring us home with the technical action.
Check whether your most important AI system is grounded. Is it answering from retrieved documents, or is it generating from internal patterns alone? If it's ungrounded, moving toward retrieval-augmented generation is often the highest impact step you can take to reduce hallucinations and make verification possible.
Let me pull the threads together. Hallucination is not an occasional error that will patch out of language models someday and move on. It's tied to what these models are, systems optimized to produce plausible language. And plausibility is not truth. That's why the fake court cases weren't a malfunction. They were the system doing what it does, and a human doing what humans do when something sounds confident and polished. We talked about different hallucination types: outright fabrication, conflation, outdated claims, overgeneralization, and context loss. We talked about when the risk spikes, obscure topics, demand for precise details, leading questions, long interactions, and that dangerous edge where the model knows just enough to sound right. We explored detection strategies like grounding, citation verification, consistency checks, and fact-checking against authoritative sources. But we also acknowledged an uncomfortable reality: detection is never perfect, so mature systems limit consequences when something slips through. On architecture, the answer is defense in depth, grounding, enforced citations, automated verification, uncertainty signaling, human checkpoints for high-stakes outputs, and logs for accountability and learning. And on responsibility, the principle is clear: accountability belongs to the people who deploy and rely on AI. The AI made it up doesn't protect you, ethically or operationally. Finally, culture matters. Organizations that win in the AI era won't be the ones that move fastest. They'll be the ones that know when speed is safe, when verification is mandatory, and how to make skepticism a mark of professionalism instead of a sign of resistance. To our panelists, Dr. Lian Zhou, Maria Alvarez, Jonas Richter, and Kwame Mensah, thank you for the clarity today.
Thank you, Nakel.
Appreciate the conversation.
This is a topic people need to face directly.
Always glad to dig into the practical side.
Next week on The Intelligence Edge, we'll tackle another hard reality, AI bias, how to detect it, how to prevent it, and what remediation looks like when harm has already happened. Until then, I'm Nakel Nikima. Make better decisions.